So, it seems like people really enjoyed my Illumination movies review. So, why not do it again, but this time with Pixar? Now, Pixar is known for making so many amazing animated films that are known as complete utter classics, and still are to this very day. But while Pixar has made a lot of great animated movies, they have made some really bad ones as well. And that's what I want to be talking about in this video. I'm gonna rank every single Pixar movie from worst to best. And since I've been wanting to do this for, well, a while now, I think it's a good time to do it. Especially since Luca came out like at least 2 months ago while I'm recording this. So, without a further ado, let's get started. 24. Cars 2. What do you want me to say about Cars 2 that have been said already? It is the worst Pixar movie and the worst sequel that Pixar has ever made. And while, yes, I know that this is just a kid's movie, I'm being a dead horse at this point, it's just not funny, it's not campy, it's not interesting, and worst of all, it's not good. Now, to be fair here, the action scenes in this movie are pretty entertaining. But still, for this coming out literally after Toy Story 3, yeah, this is both terrible and disappointing, especially for this coming out from Pixar. 23. The Good Dinosaur. Out of all the Pixar movies that I had to rewatch for this video, The Good Dinosaur screamed wasted potential. I mean, seriously. The main character, Arlo, is not that likable and is basically a wimp. His human friend is basically a dog, and the other side characters are not memorable in the slightest, and especially for the sort of villain for this movie. But if I'm gonna be honest here, the animation does look very beautiful, honestly. But still, this was not a very good movie. I have no intention to ever rewatch this movie ever again. 22. Brave. Just like The Good Dinosaur, this just screams wasted potential. Like, Merida is not a very likable character at all. Her and her mother complains a lot in the movie to the point where it gives me a headache. Also, the fact that she doesn't like to admit that she accidentally turned her mom into a bear is just really. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the animation is pretty nice to look at. Also, I did laugh a tiny bit. But honestly, yeah, this is just Pixar's copying Disney's homework in a terrible way, honestly. 21. Cars 3. Oh wow, don't you look at that, we are talking about Cars again. Anyways, the thing what I hate about Cars 2 is that I did not need to watch it in order to watch Cars 3 because barely anything that happened in that movie is not even mentioned in Cars 3, which should be considered more of a good thing because this does feel like a sequel. The thing is that I just felt really bored from beginning to end, and the villain was just very bland and just generic, honestly. And like, the story is also boring and generic. I just found this movie to be boring. So, it's better than Cars 2, but not by a long shot. 20. Monsters University. In my opinion, I actually think that Monsters University is actually a good prequel. But at the same time, it does have problems though. First off, I thought that the first act of the movie was pretty entertaining, but the second act was just pretty boring and not interesting at all, which is a shame because it takes a lot of the runtime of the movie. I thought that the third act was also pretty good. I also thought that the ending was not bad either. Honestly, this movie is kind of a mixed bag for me. But if I'm gonna be honest here, this is still an entertaining and fun movie that I will watch for maybe a few years. 19. Finding Dory. Out of all of the Pixar sequels that Pixar has made, this is one that no one talks about, like, at all. But honestly, I think that this is just alright, I guess. I don't really care about it. I mean, the story's fine. Dory is much better in this movie than she was in Finding Nemo. But there were definitely some problems, mostly because of the pacing. I just felt that the pacing was just kind of slow, honestly. But besides that, it's nothing to write home about. 18. Incredibles 2. Now, this was a sequel that just needed to happen, like big time. When the first movie ended, it was pretty obvious that people were asking for a sequel, like right away. And of course, we had to wait at least like 14 years. And yeah, it was alright as a sequel, but honestly, it was kind of disappointing. Now, to be fair here, this was not a terrible movie. I enjoyed the dialogue a lot, and especially the animation. But the thing that really sucks about this movie is that it doesn't really does much with Bob, Dash, and Violet. They don't really move the story at all. And the thing is that the twist villain just sucks. She just comes out of nowhere. Also, the same with the business brother that she has. I mean, I thought that he was gonna be like, he was gonna have this rich personality, but no, he was just boring and bland. Also, the new supers were also just a huge waste of opportunities, honestly. Sure, this is a alright sequel, but pretty disappointing at the end of the day. And the sad thing is that nobody's talking about this movie except for me, and that's pretty sad. 17. Onward. Now, honestly, this was the first time that Pixar decided to make an original movie in a while instead of making sequels. While I do appreciate Onward for doing that, it really doesn't do that much, honestly. I thought that the Barley character just needed a different voice actor, in my opinion. Seriously, he sounds a lot better as Jack Black, in my opinion. And I just thought that the story was nothing interesting. But honestly, this from beginning to end, this was a very beautiful movie. And I thought that some of the characters were actually pretty likable. But at the same time, I just thought that this movie was okay. It's not terrible at all. I have a friend who says that this is his favorite Pixar movie, and that's fine with me. But I just don't see it, honestly. It's good, I guess. Just give it a watch. 16. A Bug's Life. Now, honestly, yeah, for anyone who really hates this movie, I will probably say to them, come on, guys, it's Bug's Life. What is there to hate? Well, you know what? Yeah, there is some stuff to hate. The stuff that does suck really does suck. But if I'm gonna be honest here, yeah, for this coming out in 1998, this movie looked really good. Like seriously, this looks pretty impressive, especially for this coming out in 1998, even though it does look pretty outdated today. Now, the characters are fine, the main character wasn't that likable, and the whole lying scene just wasn't that great, honestly. Now, if you're going to watch this movie all by yourself as an adult, yeah, I think you just rather prefer watch it with a child because you're not going to get much out of it as an adult. 15. Cars. It's no surprise that the first Cars movie is easily the best one in the entire trilogy. And out of all the Pixar movies that I had to rewatch, this one felt the most like a 50s type of movie. And honestly, I think it works pretty well. In my opinion, this is just a really relaxing Pixar movie. Damn, I actually wish that I had the VHS version of this movie just so I can sit down and watch it. Honestly, yeah, it's just Cars, but I like it. 14. Finding Nemo. I think that Finding Nemo is a really good movie. That's it, honestly. I mean, I liked it as a kid, but I never really thought about it that much. And when I rewatched it, yeah, I still thought the same thing. I still enjoy the characters, and honestly, for this coming out in 2003, the water animation still looks really good, actually. And if there would be one complaint I would say about this movie is that Dory is pretty annoying. 13. Inside Out. Now, I know that I'm gonna get a bit of hate for saying what I do not like about this movie. Like, I feel like the movie tries way too hard to make its viewer, at the end, cry. Also, I think that the plot holes are just so stupidly easy to follow, but instead the characters never go through those plot holes, so that way they can get back. Instead, they have to make a really big and long adventure. But overall, this was a really good movie. I enjoyed Joy's characters, and I enjoyed the others. I also really enjoyed the beginning. Actually, I cried at the beginning, which is pretty surprising, actually. I was not expecting to cry at the beginning by rewatching this movie, but I did, and I was pretty happy that I did. But if I'm gonna be honest here, I'm just happy that this movie even came out in the first place because, honestly, around this time, yeah, Pixar really wasn't releasing that many good movies, so thank God that this movie came out in the first place. 12. Soul. Now, I talked about this movie in my 2020 Best Animated Movies video, and by rewatching it, yeah, it's still really good, honestly. Like, man, the animation is just so beautiful and bright to the point where it's almost realistic. And the story is pretty good as well, and I enjoy the characters. If there would be a few complaints I would have, the pacing is a little bit slow, just a tiny bit. And I hate the fact that Disney did not let Pixar release this in theaters. Well, maybe I shouldn't be too angry since, well, you know what was going on. 11. Luca. Now, a lot of people were telling me to watch and review this movie, but this is going to be the only way I am going to review this movie. Well, for now. And honestly, I had a really good time with this movie. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters, and I got pretty hungry halfway through it. Mostly because there was just so much pasta. I just wanted to eat the pasta, man. And honestly, I really enjoyed the villain. Most of the time, whenever there's a Pixar villain, it can be a twist villain or, well, a lust villain. And honestly, I'm pretty happy that we got a villain that is literally a kid who is a huge jerk. But if I'm gonna be if I'm gonna be talking about a few complaints in this video about it, I might as well just talk about it. So, if I'm gonna be honest here, I'm not gonna lie that Alberto can be a little bit of a jerk. And also, some of the title cards for this movie can look really generic and basic. That can get a little bit boring at times, but that really happens in the movie. Honestly, I just had a good time with this movie. I just hate the fact that Disney didn't even give this movie a theatrical release, honestly. 10. Coco. Now, when I watched this movie, and especially by rewatching it, I still think the same thing about it. It's a really great animated movie, and of course, it always makes me cry at the end of the movie. And I really enjoy the characters, and honestly, the world building and the animation itself is just so beautiful to look at. And of course, the songs are a complete bang. But if there would be a few complaints that I have is that I feel like the way of how the villain is really, well, taken down feels a little bit rushed. And honestly, I don't think that this movie is that funny. Like, sure, there are lines that do make me laugh, but mostly it doesn't focus on comedy. But that still doesn't mean that it's a terrible movie, because it isn't. It is just a great animated movie, and I would highly recommend you watching it. 9. Toy Story 4. Out of all the Toy Story movies I had to rewatch, Toy Story 4 was, in my opinion, the weakest one, but it was also the most funniest in the entire trilogy. I'm not gonna lie, the animation is just so beautiful from beginning to end, and I honestly enjoyed every character, except for Buzz. Now, I had to rewatch all of the Toy Story movies, and by rewatching them, I did not remember Buzz being this stupid. It's not because of Tim Allen doing a bad performance or anything. It's mostly because of how Buzz is written in this movie. Like, seriously, Buzz just acts so stupid in this movie for no reason whatsoever. But honestly, I enjoyed Bo Peep's return. In the original movies, I didn't care about her. But here, I enjoyed her character. I also enjoyed the new characters like Forky, Gabby, and Ducky and Bunny. Especially Duke Kaboom. Honestly, this was a pretty good finale to the entire series as a whole. But seriously, Pixar, do not make a Toy Story 5. There is no reason to. 8. Up. Up is cute. I really like Up. That's really about it, honestly, but we gotta keep on going. In my opinion, the beginning is both beautiful and very sad at the end. But after that, it just becomes a generic, fun kids movie on a fun, wacky adventure, and that's fine. I still really enjoy Up. I enjoy the twist villain, and I enjoy the characters as well. And of course, I really enjoy the ending. I also found a lot of moments to be cute. Overall, give this movie a watch. 7. Toy Story 3. Now, out of all of the Toy Story movies in the trilogy, Toy Story 3 is, in my opinion, the most darkest. And also the saddest. Sure, Toy Story 4 did make me sad. Sort of. But Toy Story 3 will always be the one that will make me cry. Especially at the end. I honestly just really love the ending. It's just such a good conclusion. But honestly, I think that Toy Story 4 did a good job of ending Woody's story. And Toy Story 3 does a good job by ending Andy's story. And that's a good thing, honestly. Also, I really enjoy the characters. I especially enjoy Lotso being a twist villain. Well, not really a twist villain. Well, he is, but well, he doesn't suck as much as the Incredibles 2 villain, that's one thing for sure. But honestly, I just enjoy the characters, especially the new ones. And this movie made me laugh quite a lot, actually. I wasn't expecting to laugh as much as I thought I would, but I still laughed, and I had a good time with this movie. If there would be one complaint that I have is that I don't understand why the toys are angry at Woody, that they are going to a daycare, despite the fact that they've been with Woody for so long, and I'm pretty sure they should have known what they were gonna go into with the daycare. But honestly, that's probably because Andy said that they were complete utter junk, so maybe that's the case, I don't know. But honestly, Toy Story 3 is a really good movie. But I don't think it's as good as the first Toy Story movie and the second one. 6. WALL-E. In my opinion, this movie would not be made without animation because honestly, there are just so many beautiful scenes in this movie that still hold up to this very day and still look beautiful. And the fact that the movie has no dialogue in its first few minutes surprises me. You literally get everything. What's going on with Wally and Eve. It's just so good, man. I also really enjoy the other characters as well. If I would have one complaint is that I feel like the villain was just really rushed. But overall, this has to be one of the best works that Pixar has made so far. 5. Toy Story. Now this is a classic. The fact that this movie has outdated animation as this surprises me, that the fact that it gets talked about so much. And honestly, I totally get it. This has to be the most important animated movies out there, and I can totally understand the reason why so many people love it, especially today. I love the characters, I really enjoy the simple story, and I really love the comedy in this movie. And for that, I think it deserves all the love in the world. 4. Monsters, Inc. I loved this movie when I was a kid, and I still do to this very day. I love Mike and Sully. They have to be one of the best duos in Pixar's history, and they're just so entertaining. And I love the relationship between Sully and Boo, honestly. And at the end of the movie, it always makes me cry somehow. And that's what I always really liked about Monsters, Inc. It just has the most sweetest moments in, well, any Pixar movie, honestly. And I just always really loved this movie. I love the comedy. I really enjoy the characters. And sure, the animation might look outdated today, but it's still entertaining to look at. And honestly, I really enjoy the villains in this movie, and I would highly recommend watching it. 3. Toy Story 2. Now this is how you make a perfect sequel. Toy Story 2 is, in my opinion, has to be the best sequel that Pixar has ever made. And the fact that this was going to be a direct-to-video movie surprises me at the same time. And the fact that this movie took 9 months to make and that it came out this perfect surprises me. I enjoy the new characters like Jessie, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete. And sure, the animation is outdated, but for this coming out in 1999, that's pretty impressive. Also, I enjoy the fact that the story is simple, but also really entertaining. And yeah, Toy Story 2 is going to always be the best one in the entire trilogy, in my opinion. 2. The Incredibles. As a kid, I enjoyed The Incredibles. That's it, honestly. I mean, I didn't care for it as much as other Pixar movies that I liked. But after rewatching it a few years later, I can really understand why people rank this as the best Pixar movies. And trust me, it deserves it. The writing is just so damn good, to the point where The Incredibles can be considered more as an adult movie, but yet the writing doesn't do that. It manages to be entertaining for both adults and kids, which just makes the movie much better. And I really enjoy the characters. The characters are very well written, and I enjoy Syndrome. Sure, he's campy and goofy, but also threatening at the same time. Honestly, yeah, this is basically Pixar at their best. And this was when Brad Bird said, you know, animation is not just for kids. Speaking of the animation looks outdated by today's standards, but I can forgive it, especially since the fact that this came out in 2004. Overall, The Incredibles is a Pixar movie that definitely deserves all the love that it gets today, and I will continue to watch it for many years to come. Number 1, Ratatouille. Ratatouille has always been my favorite Pixar movie, and mostly because of the writing, which is not a big surprise because this was literally written by Brad Bird. And the characters are very beautifully written. I'm not gonna lie, Remy and Linguini have to be the best duos in Pixar's history. Also, the animation in this movie is just so beautiful to look at. The best example of this is, of course, Paris. Paris in this movie looks so beautiful, and I don't think it could have been done without animation. And do I think that this movie deserves its Oscar? Hell yes. And honestly, it's really hard to even hate or make fun of this movie. I mean, sure, there are some memorable things here and there, but mostly you don't focus on that while watching the movie. And the sad thing is that a lot of people have been sleeping on this movie, which makes me pretty sad. But overall, Ratatouille will always be my favorite Pixar movie ever. But if Pixar makes a way better movie than Ratatouille in the near future, well, only time will tell, but for now, Ratatouille will always be my favorite Pixar movie ever. And please, stop sleeping on Ratatouille. It deserves all the love, just like The Incredibles does. And trust me, you will have a really, really good time watching this. Phew! Well, I watched every single Pixar movie that Pixar has ever made, and honestly, I'm pretty happy about it. Anyways, I'm looking forward to Turning Red coming out next spring, and it looks pretty good, so I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below what is your favorite Pixar movie, and yeah, I'm gonna go lay down. This video took a lot out of me. See you guys next time. Bye.